Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Wednesday. I hope the morning is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. As always, thank you very much for joining me. What is a snowy morning over here where I am? Can believe it. Open the curtains this morning. Snow's coming down, quite a bit of it as well. The winter is officially here, and the final international break of 2025 is officially behind us. All eyes on the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup now until March. So we will round up all of last night's action. Incredible night at Hampden Park for Scotland, and a former Arsenal star, Kieran Tierney, who we all love, of course, and made himself a national hero forevermore last night in quite remarkable fashion. So we've got to talk about that, round up what the Arsenal players did as well. We've obviously got injury news to talk about today. You got questions and comments. Arsenal and the Visit Rwanda sponsorship deal that's been announced. That is coming to an end at the end of the season as well. So plenty for us to get stuck into. But I think we've got to obviously start with the news about Gabriel. David and James reported in The Athletic yesterday, Sammy and the BBC as well. No definitive sort of time frame yet, but it's between 1 or 2 months from what they've heard that Gabriel could be out for. Obviously, like I said, from as far as I know, that a definitive timescale on his return isn't known, not even by Arsenal yet, because they're still assessing. There's still other scans to do. They don't know the actual full-on true extent at the moment. But obviously, it's looking like it could be a fair while. You know, I spoke about it in yesterday's show with James Bender. Said, look, 2-3 weeks would be like the best case scenario in an injury like this. When you see a player go off the way that Gabriel did, he's not going to be back before 2 or 3 weeks. So if it ends up being a month, 4 weeks, that's not far off kind of best case scenario territory. So that wouldn't be a disaster. Obviously, it's not great and you want him involved. But if it ends up being a month, then that's not a nightmare. If it ends up being 2 or potentially a little bit longer than 2, obviously that's turning into full-on nightmare mode, really, because he's just so important. So we'll wait and see what Mikel has to say on Friday if anything becomes a little bit clearer from his press conference comments on Gabriel. But as far as I'm aware, Arsenal aren't absolutely set yet on what the timescale could be for Gabriel. But yeah, David and James reported. I mean, it's a blow. I put it on my social media yesterday. Obviously, it's a blow. Gabriel's so important. We've spoken about that at length in the last couple of days on this channel. So it is a massive blow, whatever way you look at it. Defensively, he's obviously integral to what Arsenal do. He's part of that centre-back partnership that you can just rely on against the best strikers in the world. So not having him involved in that is going to be disappointing, a worry. It's going to be, how William Saliba going to react, not having Gabriel next to him as well. So that's a shame, real shame. He's a leader, so that's going to be a big miss for Arsenal as well. He's just got a presence about him on the pitch, which you can't really replace, despite the fact Arsenal got some excellent replacements. We'll talk about those in a second. But you can't replace that sort of aura that Gabriel kind of has now when he steps out onto that pitch. And at the other end as well, it's a massive weapon that Arsenal are going to be losing with Gabriel's absence, because we all know how effective he is from set pieces and attacking set pieces, scoring goals himself, or dragging defenders out the way and allowing others to score from him, the chaos he causes in the box. So whatever way you look at it, it is a massive disappointment. And fingers crossed it ends up being closer to the 1 month than it does to the 2 months. But we'll have to wait and see. Things will surely become a little bit clearer in the next week or so when it comes to Gabriel. Sort of taking those negative things away, putting those to one side and trying to look at the sort of positives from this. I mean, the one big positive is that this is why Arsenal have stacked their squad, especially defensively, to be able to cope with something like this or handle it. They're going to be weaker. There's no way, I can't paint a picture that suggests Arsenal are going to be able to ride this out and be as strong as they were had Gabriel been there. As I sort of said, the aura about everything about him, the fact that he's not in that team, I just think Arsenal are going to be weaker. But having said that, they've got brilliant options, fantastic options to replace him. Myself and James spoke about it at Inside Arsenal Extra Time yesterday. There's lots of different options. What Mikel sort of focuses on and which route he goes down, we don't know yet. It'll be interesting to see against Tottenham at the weekend, whether it'll be Calafiori, whether it'll be Hincapié, whether it'll be Mosquera. What do you do with the left backs if you move Calafiori inside? There's lots of open questions there. But the fact is, Arsenal do have a lot of good options to replace him. So that's the one sort of big positive from this. Last season, it was Kivior, and that was about it at the time because everyone was injured. So Kivior had to do it, and he stepped up and he played very well in Gabriel's absence when he got that injury. But this time around, there's plenty more options for Mikel to look at and potentially go with. And that's why they've built the type of squad they have to try and cope with injuries when they do arrive. And unfortunately, when you're Arsenal, they arrive a lot. And they're happening a lot now. And it is a massive shame. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts, obviously, on the Gabriel injury. And that sort of news yesterday was combined with a quote that came out from Germany, from Julian Nagelsmann, obviously the Germany manager, on Kai Havertz, who we've all been hoping was going to be back very soon from that knee injury that he suffered on the opening game of the season against Manchester United. You know, we're all kind of hoping maybe we'll see him after the international break, but Nagelsmann seems to have put a dagger through those hopes with this quote that came out in the German press after their game in midweek in the World Cup qualifiers. Said Kai had a minor relapse on his injury. Overall, he's doing well, though. He is expected to return towards the end of the year. Any sort of quote that has the word minor relapse in when it comes to an injury is not ideal, especially at a time when we've all been expecting Kai to be very close and was very close to a return. Now, I don't think, from sort of putting the feelers out after seeing this quote and asking around, I don't think there's a sense at Arsenal that this is going to be a massive setback by any means. I think there's clearly it's taken a little bit longer for him to get back to full fitness than the club was sort of hoping for, and a short while ago kind of looked on track for. But this isn't some massive setback that there's a growing worry about, that it's going to sort of extend, well beyond, I don't know, weeks, months, whatever. So certainly from the impression I get chasing up things after this quote from Nagelsmann is that there's not massive panic about Kai Havertz. Yes, it might be taking a little bit longer than Arsenal were hoping for, but he's still on track to return pretty soon, I think. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, it's going to be very interesting. Friday's press conference tomorrow, not tomorrow, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Friday's press conference is going to be really interesting with Mikel. There's lots to talk about the injuries and other things as well. So very intrigued to see what we get from him on Havertz, on Gyökeres as well, who we wait to see if he's going to be fit, on Gabriel Martinelli, who I think there's quite a good chance will be available for the weekend, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And others as well. Obviously, some of the uninjured boys, Martin Odegaard, who's been enjoying the celebrations in Norway during the international break. Okay, some news that broke this morning. Arsenal confirming now that their shirt sponsorship with Visit Rwanda, 8-year partnership deal with Visit Rwanda, is going to come to an end at the end of the season, June 2026. They will come to an end. Richard Garlick, the CEO, obviously is quoted as saying, "Our first ever sleeve partnership with Visit Rwanda has been a significant journey. Over many years, we've worked together to raise global awareness of Rwanda's tourism and conservation efforts and built many new connections with supporters across Africa. The commitment and support of Visit Rwanda throughout our partnership has played an important role in driving forward our ambitions, helping us invest in our long-term vision to win major trophies in a financially sustainable way. We thank the Rwanda Development Board for their partnership and what we've delivered together." So those are the comments of Richard Garlick, CEO, obviously at the end, when announcing, the end of Arsenal's Visit Rwanda partnership, which will come to a close in June 2026. I mean, it's been a controversial one. It's been a controversial one, no doubt about that. There's been growing pressure on Arsenal from sort of outside the club to sort of look into this partnership that they've got with Rwanda and whether this is the right time to do it. We've seen Bayern Munich and PSG, I think, has both had these sort of partnerships sort of distance themselves from it in recent years, and Arsenal have now done the same. Although, when you look at how it's been announced, it's very much being sort of put down as a mutual decision from both parties. Arsenal now are starting the process of bringing in a new shirt sponsor. The Visit Rwanda deal, I think, was 10 million a year. It was bringing into the club. So Arsenal will be looking to improve on that with whoever they do strike a deal with. But it's not going to be Visit Rwanda. So new shirt sponsorship coming to Arsenal from next season. Okay, on the internationals, good day for Ethan Nwaneri yesterday. Scored for England under-21s. Lovely goal, actually. Really nice goal. Ran through from deep. Lovely ball over the top of the defence and a great finish. Lobbed the goalkeeper for Ethan Nwaneri. So well done to him. Christian Mosquera, captain Spain under-21s yesterday in their game, came through that one unscathed, which is obviously a big relief given what's going on with Gabriel at the moment. Kieran Tierney played the full game for Ecuador last night. They beat New Zealand in New Jersey, so he's now probably in the air at the time of me recording this, heading back to London. Hopefully he is all fine as well, because he's certainly going to be needed now over the next month or so, no doubt about that. Christian Norgard came on. We'll talk about that game in a minute for Denmark. Didn't go very well, obviously, given how that game panned out. And the Spanish team, Marino started, played about 70 minutes against Turkey. Raya and Zubamendi didn't feature, so nice to have a full rest for Zubamendi. And that's it. That's a wrap for the international boys. Everyone's coming back. Everyone's coming home. And we can all start to focus very much on that game at the weekend. I just wanted to talk about this now. And I had a couple of comments. I'll bring them up. Where are they? Here we go. One from Soy Sauce Girl. Congrats to Kieran Tierney, forever a hero in Scotland. As Arteta says, there is no such thing as a substitute player these days. They are rightly cast as impact players. And Sam says, Charles, can we have a whole segment of you rewatching Kieran Tierney's winner for Scotland? Honestly, Sam, I've watched that goal over and over again this morning. I've played, listening to the commentary, seeing all the videos of the fans in pubs. And look, I'm an Englishman. I'm a proud Englishman. I've spent many a games laughing at Scotland failing to do something or fight. Obviously, is that the big rivalry, England and Scotland? Of course there is. And I have laughed at times at the way Scotland have somehow managed to not qualify for tournaments when it looked like they've done it and stuff like that, like any Englishman would. But it was impossible, even as an Englishman and having that sort of rivalry that we have with Scots, not to absolutely love what I saw last night. It was brilliant. It just reminds you why this game, and we had it with Ireland earlier on in the week, and we had it again last night. It just reminds us all why we love this game so much and the absolute joy it can bring to a nation. Just if you haven't watched them yet, go and find the clips of the goals. Listen to the commentary, the absolute joy in the voice of the commentators, the delirious scenes in the crowd. Watch all the Scots in the pubs celebrating, going absolutely crazy. It's the first time since 1998 they've qualified for a World Cup. To do it in the manner that they did, 2-2, didn't play well. Denmark were down to 10 men. It looked like they were going to be kicking themselves, Scotland, and not missing an opportunity again to get through to a major tournament. And then Kieran Tierney, who's come on as a substitute, the ball breaks to him in injury time, 25 yards out, and he just bends this curling left-footed shot past Kasper Schmeichel and into the corner. It was just magic. And for all of the injuries that he suffered, the difficulties that he's had during his career, Kieran Tierney, the pain he must have gone through, the rehab, the recovery over and over again so many times, all worth it for that one moment. It was so special, so special. And then for them to go and Kenny McLean to go and score from the halfway line after that, it was just magic. It was just magic. I've never celebrated a Scotland goal before, but I celebrated both of those goals. I was so caught up in the emotion of it all. And again, it's just a reminder of what a brilliant game this is. It can be, and in international football, and I said it after the Ireland game as well, and I'm as bad as anyone else for moaning about international breaks and them disrupting the rhythm of the season and all that sort of stuff. But when you see what's happened during this international break, you've seen the joy that this game can bring to a nation. It just reminds us why international football is so fantastic, just the unbridled joy of a nation. So congratulations, Scotland. Congratulations, Kieran Tierney. It was just a magic moment, and one I'm sure if you're watching this in Glasgow, Edinburgh, wherever in Scotland, that you are going to watch those goals and listen to that commentary and watch those scenes of celebration in the pubs and bars around the country over and over again. Congratulations. It was an absolutely magic moment. Okay, moving on to a couple of questions and comments before we wrap this one up for today. We've got one from Ricky here. So love the content. Thank you very much. For Sunday, what is your preferred left-sided defence? Mine would be Calafiori, left centre-back, Hincapié, left-back, on the basis I think Hincapié is faster and better defensively than Calafiori and will be facing Kudus. Keen to hear your thoughts. I think I would go the other way round. Oh, and in fact, I wouldn't. Sorry. No, what am I talking about? I'd keep Calafiori at left-back. And I'd play Mosquera at centre-back alongside William Saliba, I think. I've just not seen enough of Hincapié, and I know he's a good player. Obviously, he's a good player. But I've just not seen enough. I think Mikel will go with Hincapié, but He's obviously seen Nketiah a lot more than I will, so I have, so that's fine. But for me personally, from what I've seen, I would just go for Mosquera because I just feel very, very comfortable with Mosquera. I know it's slightly out of position. He prefers to play on the right, but we've seen him play on the left. He's played there very, very well. That left centre back position, plays there for Spain, times plays there for Valencia, played there for Arsenal. He's been in that position before. And he's just not let anyone down since he's been here. He's barely put a foot wrong. And so I just think he kind of warrants his place. And I would feel very, very comfortable with him next to Saliba. And then it keeps Calafiori in the position where he's played so well. I know you say he's not the best defensively, Calafiori, but go back to the performance at Anfield. We were all worried about him against Salah. And I know Salah's not enjoying the best of times this season. But Calafiori was brilliant against Salah at Anfield, playing at left back. And we were all worried about that before the game. So I'm not as good a player as Kudus is, and I know he's good if he plays. I know he was injured before the international break. I'm sure he probably will play. But even if he does, I think Calafiori can take Mohamed Kudus. And so that's what I would go for. That's me sort of better the devil kind of thing, just because I know Calafiori and I know Mosquera. I know I'm comfortable with that. I know I haven't seen enough of Nketiah playing yet to put him in the team. But as I said, I've got a feeling Mikel will probably go with Nketiah. But I think he'll keep Calafiori at left back. Another thing, and James pointed this out in extra time yesterday, if you do play Mosquera and Kudus does play, then you've got a right-footed player coming out to sort of block Kudus from the central area when he cuts inside and gets on that left foot where he can be so dangerous. If you've got a right-footed player coming out there, that might actually be a benefit, to be honest, against Kudus the way he plays. So I'd be going Calafiori, I have to say, with Mosquera with Calafiori at left back. Addy has got in touch. Says, does Arsenal record the revenues from the Brazil game on their books? Least possible given the injury to Gabriel. Nketiah please come back injury-free? Well, he has come back injury-free. Well, we think he has. Anyway, do Arsenal record the revenues? I don't think they get the ticket revenue fully. I don't know the definitive answer to this. I did try and find out before, but it's not sort of the sort of info that Arsenal will be sharing, obviously, sort of happy to share. But I think that there's a promoter for this match. Obviously, a promoter puts it on and it's staged at Arsenal. So Arsenal would get a flat fee for staging this event. Whether they get revenue or the ticket revenue or percentage of the ticket revenue, I'm not sure on that. It could well just be a flat fee for putting on the thing, but they will be financially reimbursed, obviously, for there's a financial incentive for giving them the stadium and letting it be played at Arsenal, so they do make money out of it. In terms of Gabriel and the injury he has suffered, Arsenal will get compensation from FIFA in terms of his wages because of that. So it is. I'm just trying to get the exact wording of what the scheme is called. It's the FIFA's Club Protection Program, and that protects clubs from injuries suffered on international duty. So I think if a player is injured for 28 days or more, then the club can apply to get wages covered by FIFA. It won't be the full wages. I think it goes up to 120 grand a week. This is sort of maximum wages covered. And I imagine Gabriel's on more than that. I'm not sure on exactly what his wages is. So Arsenal will still have to pay a little bit of it, but up to £120,000, they can claim that money back from FIFA for the duration of Gabriel's injury, as long as he's out for 28 days or more. So they will be getting some money, which is scant consolation, of course, because you'd much rather have Gabriel playing, but they are due some compensation for the injury because it was suffered on international duty. Hagar has got in touch and he asked about proposed changes to the ticket resale views. He wants to know if it will help the atmosphere. So this is something the government are pushing in the UK to cut out tickets being able to be resold at vastly inflated prices. Kind of aimed mainly at music events. A lot of musicians are sort of pushing for this change in policy. Coldplay are doing it and sort of leading it all. In terms of from a football point of view, will it improve the atmosphere if it works, if it gets put through? I have to say no, I don't think so. I don't think a vast amount of tickets go on the resale anyway when it comes to Arsenal. Some do, but not many. There's so many season tickets at Arsenal when they go on the exchange, they get snapped up. So I don't think the ones that go on the resale for vastly inflated prices, I don't think that makes too much of an atmosphere change, I have to say. So I don't think, even if this comes through, it'll be a good thing if it comes through, because no one should be paying stupid money for tickets for events. You should be paying what you should pay. Touting is such an awful thing, and Arsenal put so much effort into stopping that. As you said, clubs are regulating it themselves in terms of tickets going on the black market. They want to make sure that Arsenal puts so much money and effort into stamping that out and cancelling memberships of people who are doing it. But in terms of the atmosphere, I don't think it will make much of a difference, I have to say on that. But thank you very much for your question. And thank you very much, everyone, getting in touch. Appreciate it. As always, that is it from me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll be back to do it all over again tomorrow. I've also got the Arsenal Press Pass show coming tomorrow, which is exclusive for Inside Arsenal Patreon members. And if you're not a member yet of Inside Arsenal, you want to become a member, get exclusive content and help support the channel, then you can get down, find it in the show notes, find the link, go direct to Patreon, sign up and become a member. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good day. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.